Who said we are participating in Great Places to Work survey to win? He said we are participating in the survey to listen to our employees,
Right.
understand their concerns, and then genuinely work towards this concern than actually winning. Winning, if you're coincidentally winning, then it's fine,
Yeah.
but otherwise, we should focus
Yeah.
on
So,
those issues genuinely.
so it's not about winning, but being a part of that
Yeah,
process.
being part of the process and understanding the actual concern and working on it. People often say, no, you time up, you time your mails. So you send a mail at 2 o'clock in early morning or midnight 12, so that the boss feels that you are working very hard.
Yeah.
So I had a beautiful boss who wrote back to me when I sent a mail so late, saying, why are you working so late? So then I got the message that, oh, okay, there is a way you work. So I think the best places to work also teach you how you need to work.
Welcome. Today we are joined by Dr. Vittal Rangan, an experienced HR professional with over 25 years of corporate experience. Dr. Vittal has held key positions in renowned companies like Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance, Asian Paints, and Ujjivan Financial Services, where he has made significant contributions to the growth and development of these organizations. He has a deep understanding of the dynamics of the workplace and has created one which fosters growth, development, and employee satisfaction. Currently, he is serving as the faculty member of IIMBG in the field of human resource management and organizational behavior. He is also one of the few professors in India who is teaching management lessons from Bhagavad Gita, a book that we are all aware of, but we never saw it from a managerial perspective. With his deep understanding and insights, we are sure to learn a lot about what makes a company a great place to work. Welcome, sir. We are delighted to have you in our podcast.
Hey, thank you.
Sir, recently we are seeing a lot of moonlighting and what many people termed as the great resignation among employees of various organizations. According to them, their aspirations and needs are not fulfilled by their current employers. So, in light of this situation, many organizations and companies are realizing the importance of making their workplace best suitable for their employees, simply to retain their valuable skilled workers. So, according to you, what are some of the key elements or attributes which makes a workplace best for their employees?
Yeah. Organizations which are keen to participate in great places to work or want to build their organization as one of the best companies to work for. Uh, there are a few dimensions. One, the Great Place to Work Institute, which normally runs this survey, measures this organization on credibility on the top management, uh, respect in the workplace, uh, pride in working for such an organization, fairness in the processes which are run across the organization, and camaraderie among the fellow employees. So these are parameters on which the Great Place to Work Institute measures. The research literature also talks about some of the key dimensions. Okay, when we are measuring organization culture, so they talk about team orientation, they talk about people orientation, they talk about results orientation, adaptability, innovation, some of this. So, what is important is do you really keep all the stakeholders in mind when you're taking management decisions? I think that will define in terms of how you want to build your organization as a great place to work or not.
Yes, sir, right. I believe that people-oriented organization helps to retain also the young skilled workers who, according to a survey, 74% of them tend to leave their organizations after a certain period of time simply because they lack motivation in their existing companies, not just because of higher pays. This is quite applicable in a country like India where the median age is 26 years. After seeing what are the key elements which makes a company a great place to work for the employees, then how these companies measure these elements or their interactions or engagement with the employees so that they can be one of those companies.
Yeah, I think mm, the phenomenon of great place to work or the best places to work, some of these rankings are recent. So possibly in the last 15, 20 years. But prior to this, that traditionally it used to be measured through the job satisfaction surveys internally run by most organizations. So they used to measure those scores and then identify factors where they are lacking and then drive new initiatives to address those. That used to be the pattern earlier.
Right,
So
right.
now with the Great Place to Work ranking, it has almost taken a form of trying to score one better than the other, and then trying to see if we can be a better place than somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
So that has been the new approach. But these are much more scientific in terms of the surveys which are done, because it is done through an external third party. So therefore, there is larger trust of employees to participate in such surveys.
Right, right.
So that's how it is. So normally, either it is done internally. If there are many organizations, even now they do it internally. There are organizations which do it externally and participate in a larger survey in an industry forum like this.
Right, sir. So, do you believe that employees, before joining an organization, look at these surveys or ranking before they actually join the organization? Or is it just for the top organization to analyze how their workplace is actually going on right now?
Yeah, I think some of these best places to work has been there for some time in that list. So therefore, they turn out to be preferred employers for many of the people, including my own decisions of joining organization has been based on whether they at least rank somewhere in this list, because I think that takes care of the basic work culture there. So you get a signal from before that I think these people are oriented towards employees. So it must be a good place to work for me when I go and join, because you'll end up spending almost half of your life in some organization, right?
Right, right.
So therefore, people do look at that scores of late at least. Earlier days, I think organizations had built this being a good employer. For example, organizations like Asian Paints, Tata Group, they have consciously worked towards building that reputation as an employer brand, saying that it's a good organization to work. So
Right,
therefore,
right.
we should be your preference. So that has been there traditionally. Now with these courses coming up, it's becoming much more easier for people. You have to quickly go through, Google it and see, okay, these organizations seem to be there, so we can try. So it gives an edge, surely.
Other than the misconception about paid rankings in the current business world, is there a misconception that a company or organization which has a good industry reputation, be it because of the product they deliver, the quality of the product, or their market standing, is necessary a good place to work for the employees?
Yeah, it can be both. Um, it could be a great organization, great consumer brand, and not an employer brand, or it could be both a consumer brand and an employer brand. So, a classic case of both consumer brand and employer brand could be, I'm referring to Asian Paints because I work there. I'm referring to Ujjivan because I work there. I've seen some of these brands where it's both consumer brand and an employer brand. But there are organizations which choose to be only a consumer brand. Some of the very big brand names today, but you don't know whether they are great employer brands. You go and speak to their employees, particularly exited employees, you'll get to know whether they are a good employer brand or not.
So, can you give us some examples of companies that have been consistently named as one of the best companies to work for? And what do they do differently? Like, what made them get to that place?
Yeah, some of the examples of best places to work are Google, Intel, Marriott, Ujjivan, Aditya Birla Group. Some of them repeatedly feature there. There are organizations which come again and again in that list. So, because I think once they know the science of how to work with their associates and meet the employee expectations and also meet the business need, I think it works well for them. So, in fact, the repeat winners are also in the Hall of Fame Best Employers Club. So therefore, it's similar. The list is same. But what do they do differently from rest? I don't think they don't do anything differently. I think what they do is they do their fundamentals right. So which means some of these functions of HR, recruitment, training, performance management, being fair to the employees, all this I think they do it very right. They so if therefore if you ask me what could be what differentiates an organization from the rest, it's not the swimming pool, gym, and fancy cafeteria that differentiates the best from the rest. I think what differentiates them is doing things right. So,
Right, right.
simple example could be I worked for some of the best places to work, right? And then I also kind of consulted for a few others. And I see two CEOs talking, and one talks about having incentive. Both have incentives. So when I meet the other organization, which is not a great place to work, and then say, Vittal, we also have incentive. Yes, sir, you also have incentive. We also pay incentive. Yes, you also pay incentive. But how do we do it? I think that makes all
Yeah.
the difference. So what they do, everybody knows. When they do, they know.
But how do they do it?
Why are they doing that also they know. But I think how they do make all the difference.
Right, right.
So I think a top example could be in a best place to work. There is process, there is system, there is a timeline for most of the things they do. There is a discipline in the way they work, and that leaves with an experience which the employees value. So I think that takes care. So incentive paid on time again and again, that would leave a different experience than something which comes at a random different time, and then I think that will make the difference.
Right. So yeah, I do believe that working right on the fundamentals makes all the difference among these companies. But still, sir, we have seen many companies which sometimes need to lay off many employees to cut their cost. For example, in Jan 2023, we have seen Google laid off 12,000 of their employees. So in this situation, do they still remain the best places to work, or does it affect their ranking?
Yeah, I think that connects back. Interesting question. That connects back to the previous question, which is doing basics right. So, which is when we have such difficult decisions you take, typically based on the business requirement, what happens is that leaves people with poor taste. So the key difference would be that such decisions can't be avoided. So I
Right, right.
remember one of the best places to work conferences where one of the global head of HR was talking about this actual experience of taking a tough decision and how did they manage. And I think what made the difference was how did they take the people along in those decisions, in the
Right.
sense discussing with them, sharing the concerns, being fair in the process. So if you're taking a compensation cut, you take a cut across board. If you're taking a tougher decisions of exits, then you try and do it across board. See and then see if you can outplace people from your own organization, provide outplacing services. So those are some basics. They really take care to give a feeling to the employees that they are taking best of efforts to ensure that we are taken care. Above that, situations are so large that the organization is not able to do anything, and therefore we are in this situation. So exits if planned well, performance management if planned well, then they still remain as great places to work in spite of taking those tough
Right, right.
decisions. But if those are not done well, then in spite of being a best of place, but one wrong decision or one quick decision of implementation might spoil the whole
Right, right.
culture.
Yes, sir. And also, we have seen that you've been an integral part in making Ujjivan Financial Service, which has become one of the best companies to work in India. So, what key role or what was the key factor or role that you focused on that made the difference in Ujjivan?
I think that takes us back to some of the basics of HR, what we read in academics, which is the hygiene factors, motivation factors, though it looks like a simple theory. So first we have to go and quickly look at what are the hygiene which we might be missing out, and then quickly go around fixing them, and then build the motivators from there on. So that's what we have done. So and then we seriously work towards listening to employees. We listen to them through the surveys. So I'll recall an example. I went to my CEO and then said, "Sir, we have a lot of issues in some branches, particularly in Tamil Nadu. We had some issues, and then we said we will not participate in this year's survey because we may not win. And let me fix up all these issues, and then we will participate next year." And then he came back saying, "Who said we are participating in Great Places to Work survey to win?" He said, "We are participating in the survey to listen to our employees,
Right.
understand their concerns, and then genuinely work towards this concern than actually winning. Winning, if you're coincidentally winning, then it's fine,
Yeah.
but otherwise, we should focus
Yeah,
on
so
those issues genuinely."
yeah, so it's not about winning, but being a part of that
Yeah,
process.
being part of the process and understanding the actual concern and working on it. So that was a unique aspect of how you really work on
Right,
making
right.
any organization a great place to work. So
Right, sir. Sir, and also recently we are seeing many companies fixing their main goal towards profit orientation, and because they obviously need to survive in the competitive world. So, while focusing on this profit orientation and the profit driven strategies, does it affect the employee workplace and well being of the employees in general?
yeah, if I have to recall, when you look at all these dimensions of organization culture, so we looked at team orientation, people orientation, results orientation, innovation. Some of that, if you look at, there'll be many situations in business where you take decisions which affects many stakeholders in the process. So it will affect investors, people, customers, all the. So therefore, when that is a decision you need to take, because that is a requirement of the business.
Right.
But how conscious are you in terms of all these stakeholders, or are you taking decisions? For example, if you're an organization which says high performance delivered at any cost, that means you might have result orientation as one of the high, because it runs in a continuum. All this
Right, sir.
characteristics of organization dimensions, they coexist in the
Yeah,
sense
go
all of
hand
them,
in hand.
they go hand in hand. So every decision you take, it affects the other aspects also, other characteristics also. So therefore, when you say that I'm going to be highly result oriented, am I going to be also conscious that how much am I going to be people oriented along with that, or am I going to be only result oriented and not people oriented at all? So then it could be those decisions like, I don't care how long you work. So we even had innovative things like, as I said, the basics, right?
Right,
Which is,
right.
we had something called 7 o'clock rule, which means nobody in any office will work after 7. And if anybody stays, it's as serious as the list of those people goes to the CEO that day evening.
Right.
So why will a CEO look at a list which is some office staff sitting in some remote branch after 7? So the fact that it is going to him, people don't stay.
Right, sir.
That's where it is. So therefore, when you take business decisions, are you taking decisions where you say, I don't care, I want the results, you work all Saturday Sundays? Or you say that, no, I care that you don't work on Saturday Sundays. Like I remember, people often say, no,
Right.
you time your mails. So you send a mail at 2 o'clock in early morning or midnight 12, so that the boss feels that you are working very hard.
Yeah,
So I had a beautiful boss who wrote back to me when I sent a mail so late, saying, why are you working so late? So then I got the message that, oh, okay, there is a way you work. So
yeah.
I think the best places to work also teach you how you need to work. So that's the uniqueness of these
Yeah,
things.
so the 7 hour work seems relaxing to us after we have heard haunting stories of 14 hours and 15 hours of work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that seems really nice. So finally, what do you think HR professionals and executives play the role in making these organizations the best place to work?
Yeah, they have an important role, which is setting the right framework in place.
Right.
But normally, many people also feel that if it's a great place to work, then the HR person is a very dynamic personality who's making that whole organization a great place to work. But you also find organizations which are repeated great places to work, and the HR head is changing often.
Right.
So therefore, it's not to do with the professional per se. I think the framework, and the HR professionals has a role to set the framework in place, ensuring that the people orientation remains intact. But the ownership of running the whole place lies with the leadership team. So the ownership of building a great organization is not. I don't think it's an individual HR responsibility. It is entire
Right,
leadership responsibility, including starting from the promoters, the philosophy of how they want to build the organization. So how great places to work are built is typically flows from the philosophy of the founder. Then from the founder, he goes around hiring people at the top management who aligns with that philosophy, and therefore those top management people bring in people and socialize them in a way that these are acceptable behaviors in this organization, and these are not acceptable behaviors, and that sets the right culture across board.
right, sir.
So that's how great places to work are built. And HR professional plays a key role in enabling this entire environment. I
Right,
think
sir.
that is the role of HR.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for joining our podcast. With this, we have come to end our podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.